Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about the new Star Wars TV shows and films that are currently in the works, along with all the books, the novels, and the comics that are going to lend credit to all of those. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that a lot of Star Wars fans are currently very excited about has a lot to do with what's in stock for The Mandalorian Season 3, and of course other shows out there like Star Wars Ahsoka, that's really gonna have a lot of amazing revelations related to the Force, the Jedi, and more. Now, given that Kathleen Kennedy is currently very busy with the Acolyte and Skeleton crew, she's also, of course, losing a lot of creative power behind the scenes, all thanks to Disney CEO Bob Chapek for making that a reality and making that happen for the fandom. Now, given that there are a lot of other things happening behind the scenes between, of course, John and Dave really stripping things from Star Wars Legends and throwing it into the Disney canon as much as they can, and keeping it as accurate as possible to really satisfy the fans, we also have a lot of other things happening behind the scenes between, of course, everything related to ILM introducing a brand new technology that's going to go beyond and surpass both de-aging tech and, of course, deepfake technology. That's really going to be quite impressive. So moving past all of this, what's even all the more exciting has a lot to do with the fact of what Disney and Lucasfilm are up to right now, and what Mark Hamill recently had to say about Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy when he was questioned about his role as Luke Skywalker. Now, specifically with Mark Hamill now heavily involved with The Mandalorian Season 4 by both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni in order to accomplish new techniques to bring Luke Skywalker back in action in the most realistic way possible, Mark has been getting involved with some new interviews as of late when he was questioned about his experience with the sequel trilogy films and Kathleen Kennedy's portrayal of Luke. Mark Hamill went on to reveal something unexpected to the Star Wars fandom by stating the following to the fans. When I was getting ready to begin filming for episode 9, we had all these scenes planned ahead of time that we were actually borrowing from Colin Trevorrow's script that JJ wanted to fulfill. Now, these included full flashback scenes to my earlier life as Luke Skywalker that we did not partially, of course, get to complete, and we did partially complete some of them, and even completed others that were meant to be displayed to the audience while Luke tells multiple stories to Rey in different parts of the story. I believe that we had Luke having 10 minutes worth of flashbacks for Luke Skywalker. It was actually pretty crazy. I had shot quite a few of them with Adam that were pretty intense and revealing for the story that was going to build up the relationship between both uncle and nephew. It was actually going to be very beneficial to both characters, but Kathy eventually had a change of heart of what she wanted to do, and of course wanted to shift away from that focus for the film and wanted to keep it simple with one quick 30-second flashback, which is something that I never agreed with. We had this idea in place that Luke was going to tell a detailed story to Rey about his life and struggles that would have showcased so many scenes of Luke pre The Force Awakens. I will never forget that both JJ and Kathy were getting into many arguments on letting go of Luke's flashback scenes that were really going to enhance the story. So let me just stop here quick for a second. Now, this actually connects to what we talked about 2.5 years ago of how there were going to be a lot of Luke flashbacks in the last, and of course The Rise of Skywalker that were going to make up for The Last Jedi, essentially. That was basically JJ's endgame, is that he wanted to find a way to bring Luke back into the equation in a very, centered way and a very important way that was going to make the fans very happy and satisfied. Now, unfortunately, Mark Hamill reveals here that Kathleen Kennedy wanted nothing to do with that in the long run. She wanted to ditch all the ideas by Colin Trevorrow. She didn't want anything to do with his overall concepts of Luke to be thrown into JJ's script. And that just goes to show you that Kathleen Kennedy oftentimes really flip-flops. She, decides to do one thing and decides to pull back from those ideas later on in production, that only causes a lot of trouble for the cast and the crew. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This always happens. So, Mark Hamill goes on to reveal to the fans something very important here about Luke Skywalker's journey and his stories. So he goes on to say, "You see, we were going to have Luke's Force Ghost show up multiple times in the movie, giving Rey these lessons and telling her these stories about himself that would give visuals of Luke's journey after Return of the Jedi. Kathy felt that this was overdoing it too much, and that it was focusing on Luke Skywalker too much for the last film in the Skywalker saga. This actually was soul-crushing to me, is the best way I can describe it, because not only did I spend so much time getting involved with those scenes, but I actually loved them. I mean, they were really, really good for the fans. It was going to be quite the experience. It was always JJ's intention to use some of Colin Trevorrow's ideas to put into his version of the film." And I want to pause here quick before I get to the next thing that Mark says. That's also very revealing. But this is yet another prime example of Kathleen Kennedy not caring about what the fans wanted to see in the last film of what they like to market it as, the Skywalker saga, right? We all saw the trailers and the teasers of how it kept displaying that title, the Skywalker saga, right, in the marketing. And when you see that name Skywalker, you expect to have a significant amount of either Luke, Anakin, etc., whatever it may have been, right? The fact that we were going to get so many flashback scenes of Luke Skywalker and all pre-Force Awakens content around the 10-minute mark worth of footage, as Mark said, I think that would have at least given a good bump up for the Rise of Skywalker's acceptance among fans. I mean, I think it would have really changed how fans viewed, you know, Luke Skywalker's role in the sequel trilogy movies, and how Colin Trevorrow's work was supposed to be implanted into Episode 9 by JJ. It's just very unfortunate that we had these turn of events that really caused quite a mess. So, he goes on to say, "It was always JJ's intention to use that. What got me excited was that it was going to have more of Ben Solo in the story, and showing a time when he was still good, and I thought Adam did great in all of those." Now, once again, this would have made a lot more sense. It would have built the character up a little bit more for the character of Ben Solo, and showing us the struggle between uncle and nephew, as Mark points out. This would have been, like he says, very beneficial to Ben Solo and Luke Skywalker's character development in the sequel trilogy, showing us what happened before The Force Awakens, showing us that lead up to him falling to the dark side. You know, I think that was the one big flaw in the sequels, is that we never really got to see the in-detailed reason why Ben Solo switched to the darkness. When you read the books, you learn more about that. It's because he was neglected as a child. Leia and Han were so busy with their lives in, you know, politics, and Han Solo doing the smuggling business in between, getting back into that again. He was neglected, and that left the kid lost, and that left him very confused, which made him turn to Snoke. So if you guys read the comics and the books, you learn more about that. But overall, guys, you know, let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.